Welcome to That Cleveland Running Show with Adam Gockowski. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for your host, Adam Gockowski.
Welcome to That Cleveland Running Show with Adam Gockowski. I'm your host, Adam Gockowski, and on today's show, let me just say I love this guest like she's family. Incredible running journey, incredible life change, incredible everything. You're going to love her. Enough with me. Let's get straight to the show, Cleveland. Ladies and gentlemen of Cleveland, Jen Boerwinkle. Jen, welcome to That Cleveland Running Show with Adam Gockowski. How are you?
Hey, Adam. I'm doing great. I'm excited to be here with you today.
For the audience that may not know, Jen and I became very good friends over the past few years. And last year, we even co-hosted a podcast together. And I absolutely love this individual, and I knew she would be the perfect first guest on That Cleveland Running Show with Adam Gockowski. And Jen, I could not be more excited to have you on today's show.
Thanks, Adam. I'm excited to be on the show today. And you know what's so funny is thinking about the previous podcast and trying to find my microphone, because that has come up. Like, where did I put my microphone? No, I'm excited to be here today and join you on your new podcast and be part of that.
First things first, I've always found your story very inspirational to many people, including myself. So before we get into that, can you tell us exactly who you are in a nutshell?
Yes, in a nutshell. So my name is Jen. Obviously, I live in Northeast Ohio. I actually live closer to Central Ohio, probably, in Ashland, which, if you are familiar with the 71 stop in Ashland, it's Grandpa's Cheese Barn. So that's usually what I will say. But I'm married. I have two kids that are 12 and 8. I run. I've had a really incredible weight loss journey that has essentially led me, I guess I would say, to running too, because I was never a runner before. I'm also a social worker and run coach. And so I've got a lot of different hats I wear, but in a nutshell, a lot of really great things that I've been able to experience in my life.
What part of your life did you get into running?
Well, so I went through this really intense weight loss journey, lost 125 pounds and have maintained that for the last almost 7 years. About a year into that, though, I was working out really consistently, going to the gym, doing cardio, weightlifting, all of those things. And then I decided I was walking a lot. There was also a pandemic starting, and just trying to figure out how to keep moving, especially once the gym closed. But even before that, I was just doing a lot of walks, and I decided one day I was pushing Nolan, who's now my 8-year-old, in a stroller, and I had a jogging stroller, and I'm like, I'm gonna, start jogging. And that was my very first run, was pushing him in the stroller. And the next day I went out by myself and I started running what I now know to be essentially intervals, telephone pole to telephone pole, and just working my way up to my first mile that I ran. And then a 5K not long after that. It was a turkey trot 5K. And then I ran one more 5K in February of 2020. And then we all know the pandemic hit. And so it really evolved and took off from there, especially not having access to the gym, and really finding that I enjoyed kind of that break to myself with being busy, working full time, being a mom, having, a lot of things going on in life outside of being quarantined to your house, quite frankly. So that was really when it took off, I would say.
So when running was very new to you, where did you look for inspiration to keep yourself motivated?
I started with Instagram. Honestly, I had a weight loss account that I had started because of the weight loss account. And then slowly over time started following other runners and trying to engage there. So I guess I would say my social media has evolved a little bit since that time, because it's much less about weight loss, of course, at this point, and just the maintenance of that. But what running has really fitting into just my life.
Yeah, because starting literally anything new can be extremely intimidating. So what kind of challenges did you face right away?
Really having no idea what I was doing, probably running way too fast. And then, not really understanding the fact that sometimes you got to go slower to go faster. And that was, I was not an athlete in school. I'm definitely much more of a creative person. And it was all new to me. So I really was just learning and running too fast, running too often, not taking breaks. That was huge for me. I actually had a hamstring injury because of that. And so I think learning more in that area and understanding, like the consistency part of running and really the time that it takes to effectively build a base and how strength training and cross training and all of those things work together, but also nutritionally was really hard for me because of the weight loss journey that I was on, and balancing how do I fuel my body to also help me do what I'm trying to do.
So when you faced your first wall, what were those challenges and how did you bounce back from it?
It's interesting because I think facing those walls, like it could happen in any run, no matter who you are. Typically, it's always racing for me, and it's a lot of times it's mental. Like the second I realize I'm not going to hit my goal, it's kind of like, meh, well, now I don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
And that makes it really hard. It's like pushing through and knowing, being consistent over time. Like the paces that I can run now, I would have never imagined in the beginning of my running journey 5 years ago or whatever it is that I would be running today, or even have that in my forefront, or that I would still be running today and sticking with it. What I really love about it though is, especially with running, like nobody can do that for you. You set these goals, and the only way you can make that happen is that you go out and you put in the work and you do it. And then consistently just showing up for yourself. And I really like that part of it. So I think with the mental side of it, while I'm always like, oh man, I'm not going to hit this goal or something's going to not go right. It's also like, well, I'm showing back up tomorrow because eventually we're going to get there.
So the early stages of goals, what were those goals?
Well, the very first one was to run a mile straight without stopping. That was the first one. And then it was to do a 5K. And then I did that. And then it was kind of like, I still wasn't into the long distance. So then I was kind of like, okay, well, now I just want to run the 5K faster. So let's do that. And then I just continued to train. I was training longer. I registered for the Columbus half marathon, which would have been in October. So this was like February. That race was obviously canceled that year. And so there was no option to run them virtually that year. However, the Flying Pig gave the option of running a virtual half. So that would have technically been my first half marathon that I would have had like recorded. And I ran that completely solo, of course, as just a run in Ashland. And so that was really the first goals. But then it's like every time you either are going faster or further, and you're always just kind of like, what's next? And I ran my very first marathon then on my 35th birthday, and I ran that in Pennsylvania, still having no clue of what I was going to be doing. I think I ran that like 5:15 or something. Second half was miserably hard, straight up a mountain and back down twice. It was like out and back, in the Allegheny National Forest. And so from there, it was like, okay, now what's next? And then, I ran Indy after that. And then ultimately, my PR that I have for my marathon was in Cleveland. And it was an hour faster than my first marathon. So it's like, it took me 2 years to get there. And it just takes time, but it really is. It's just evolved over time, whether I want to be faster or go further.
And I think what you just said is a perfect thing to learn about or learn from. It takes time.
Yeah.
It took you 2 years to get where you're at and then to stay consistent with that.
Yeah.
So for those that are new to running in general, that are going through a weight loss journey, patience is the virtue, is what you're saying?
It absolutely is. And I think having the goal to work towards too. It's not just a matter of going out to do the workout. It really is a matter of having that goal that you can work towards and accomplish it, because I think that's where people really do get hooked on that running part of it too, is like, wow, look what I can do when I really keep trying and keep doing this. And it gives you something to do outside of your normal life, your relationships, parenting, work, whatever that might be.
Being in Ashland, bit rural, not as populated as obviously like the city of Cleveland. Where do you find community that keeps you motivated when you're not around so many people at any given time? So like, for example, what I mean by that is I can walk outside and find a run club. You being in Ashland may not be that simple. And many places in Northeast Ohio might be a little bit more rural. where do you find community to push you further and to keep you motivated?
Yeah, I mean, I run solo a lot. I've tried to start a run club here a couple different times. I see runners out when I'm out running, especially in Ashland, in the city of Ashland. There's definitely no runners out at my house. I live very rurally, and it's only me. There's not even sidewalks. So Instagram has been really pivotal. I guess social media specifically has been really pivotal in me finding and connecting with people. I think that's been really helpful. The Cleveland running community is very welcoming to people, even if you are not from living in Cleveland. They've welcomed me with open arms, and I've got some great relationships and great friends that have become like family just from that. And quite frankly, most of them, like I didn't know, I wouldn't have known prior to any of that. So the people are there, and even social media in general can be really supportive. It can be detrimental at times too, but it can be really, really supportive. I do work full time, but 2 of those days I'm in the office in Columbus. And so I also have some friends that I've met through social media as well that are in Columbus. And sometimes I connect with them to run. And so, I mean, the people are there. And what I have found is the running community is so open to anybody, whatever pace you're running, whatever. It truly is remarkable how you can say, hey, I'm looking for someone to run with. And typically you're going to be able to find that, especially in Cleveland.
Losing, what did you say, 120 pounds?
Oh, yeah.
Now we're talking the diet side of running. What were some of the challenges that you faced as your diet obviously changed, as your progress with running changed? What kind of challenges did you face right away?
It was so hard. It was so hard just fueling. There was a lot of trial and error, figuring out what I could eat, what I couldn't eat, and what would upset my stomach, what wouldn't upset my stomach, gels, for instance, because what you don't want is to start something new and be out for 10 miles in rural Ashland County and like you don't feel good and you're either walking home, you're sick, whatever that looks like. Calling my husband to come get me. And so part of it was that. Part of it was also carb loading. I did not really understand that part of it and had to learn that as well. Because when you're on a weight loss journey, what do you hear all the time? Don't eat carbs, don't eat carbs. And when you're running, as a friend's like, eat all the carbs, eat all the carbs. It just conflicts so much. And I would have my dietitian telling me, weight loss wise, you need to be eating 800 to 1200 calories a day or up to 1500 calories a day. Well, running wise, I'm burning that on one run. And it's like, I can't, continue to function like this and not risk myself and injury and not feeling like I have zero energy at all on top of that. So some of it was trial and error. Figuring out the gels that worked for me was key. I still cannot I know a lot of people like to use a lot of candy. I cannot do that. I stick with things like graham crackers, animal crackers, peanut butter and jelly. Juice is one thing I can do that not everybody can. Those are the big things. I mean, bagels are great. They're easy for me. But, with that type of restriction, it makes it a little bit harder. After gastric bypass, your stomach's just smaller. You can't consume the amounts at the same time. And so that's difficult, but having the right providers in place to help you understand some of that, give you other ideas to try. Otherwise, you're going to be getting everybody's opinions all the time. And it's confusing. It makes it really hard. So figuring out what works for you and just sticking with that.
So let's go off of that. You're a professional. You're a family, mother, wife, yourself even. And obviously being a runner. How do you do the life balance?
I've got a great partner that helps. Having someone to also help with kids, get kids around where they need to be. Because I work full time and I work full time for the state, I also work on a part-time basis in mental health. And I also coach on a very part-time basis. And so there's all these different aspects that I really enjoy and I don't necessarily want to let go of, but I think it's also balancing like how much you can take on at one point. And so at any given moment that could change and it's kind of like shifting. So fitting running in, it almost just becomes this non-negotiable, this is part of my day. This is part of what I want to do. And so you carve that out from the top. That's just something that I make sure I have time for in a day. Whether that means I'm running really early in the morning or I'm running really late at night on my treadmill, maybe after the kids go to bed, because that's just how it worked out that day. I mean, there is the ability to balance it if you make it a priority. I understand that, time is time is precious, and you want to make sure that you have the time to do all the things that you enjoy. So that's worked well for me, is just making sure I prioritize that first. And I know maybe in the morning, I just know all day I'll be running on my treadmill at night because that's when it works out.
So for coaching, you mentioned you're a coach. What exactly do you mean by that?
So when I coach with Rise and Rain Training, and I actually was an athlete to start with Rise and Rain Training, and I started that process. That's how I ended up with my PR and my marathon, and have continued with my coach the entire time that I've even been coaching myself. I do think it's important that coaches have coaches and continue to have their own support in the sport, especially, and also the accountability. So I decided, I actually had a surgery and I was going to be down. I wasn't working, I wasn't running, I wasn't doing anything else at the time. And I said, I got my certification in personal training. And then I got my certification in run coaching. And I said, you know what? I have had so many people like pour into me and help me, especially my running coach, Jillian Reyna. And I can do this for other people. And that could be the social worker also coming out in me, but like, let me help somebody else the way that people have helped me. And so I talked to Jillian about it, and I became a run coach with Rise and Rain. And I've had some great athletes come through, major breakthroughs, just maintenance running, whatever it might be, whatever their goals might be. I love working with a beginner runner because I've been there very recently. I love working with runners who come in and they say, I used to be an athlete and I haven't been for years, or I'm on a weight loss journey myself, or, maybe they find me on Instagram and then they're reaching out to me because it relates to them in some way because of that, or they just decided they want to start. So I've had some really cool experiences with that, and really just coaching them through, whether it's a 5K, whether it's, just ongoing running that they want to do just for their own physical fitness, up to a marathon or beyond.
Do you see any difference when it comes to coaching men versus coaching women?
A difference? I mean, not necessarily. I think that, between coaching the two, now I will say I'm coaching my husband right now, and there's a big difference there.
Well, yeah,
because
I think there would be.
He does not listen. Typically, I have found, sometimes men want to run a little bit faster than what they should be running, but women do too. So I don't know that there's necessarily a difference. I could pinpoint maybe. Men will fuel better, I think, than women do. And I think this is just my own opinion. I think it's related to the history of diet culture and the correlation of running and weight loss. And when you probably know this too, Adam, and this happens to me when I'm really, really training for a race, I'm typically going to gain about 5 pounds or maybe a little bit more during that training cycle. And there's a lot of factors that go into that. But when women see the scale, and men too, I don't want to just say one or the other, but it's scary to see a scale go up. What's it going to look like, especially when you've been on a weight loss journey? So I think that some people go into, starting to run thinking they want it to be part of a weight loss journey, and maybe it doesn't always work out, the way that they thought it would be.
So when those that step on the scale and see a number that's higher than they expected, what do you tell them to keep their head in the game?
Get off the scale. Stop weighing yourself. I won't weigh myself weeks before a race when I know I've been like really fueling, really training, hard efforts, maybe going into a taper. I won't get on the scale at all. And I would recommend anyone stay off the scale. But I understand some people, that is a measurement that they want to focus on, and that is, their own prerogative, but it does mentally kind of make you feel a certain way. And you don't want that to be the part that's impacting you, or that you start under fueling because you're nervous about that. And I've done it before, which is why I'm saying that. I've experienced it myself. You start under fueling, and then what happens? You're low on energy. You have a bad race. All of that could have been avoided had I not been, in my head about a number on the scale.
And I remember when I was an athlete with Rise and Rain, water weight picks up due to muscle recovery. Am I correct on that?
You're correct.
And
so
can
it's
you
not
elaborate
just
more on that?
it's not just all of the bagels or whatever. You're not gaining, pounds of fat. Your body's recovering. It's holding water. There's a lot of that goes into it. And so you're absolutely right. It's not just fat. And what you will also notice is, and I noticed this for myself, 3 to 5 days after your race, you're probably going to know a significant difference in that scale if you've been paying attention to it.
With that being said, if you are a completely new runner with a weight loss journey, final words of advice before we go to the next segment.
I think my final words of advice would be find the community that's going to support you, because it does make it more fun. It engages you. You have the support in place because it is hard. But then also, if you are struggling with accountability or you need that support, is also having a coach and someone that can help support you, help make you a plan that's going to keep you safe as well. So you're not going out running too fast like I have done, and many others before me. But I think those are the two things: is getting the support in place, whether that means the community or the support of a coach or, another athlete with a lot of experience that can help you process through some of that.
I do have one more question about this subject. For new runners, especially runners going through a weight loss journey, are apps like Strava, where you get to see everybody else's numbers, or Instagram, where you're seeing people's results, is that a good thing to be on at the beginning of your running journey?
Well, it's kind of a double-edged sword. So here's the one thing I will say. It gives you something to be excited about, to cheer for other people with, and be proud of them too. So there's one side of it. But comparison is the thief of joy. And if you are a runner who is running a 12-minute mile, or you are a runner and you're following these people who are running a 7-minute mile, and you're feeling like you're never going to get there, and that's not feeling positive for you, and it feels detrimental to you, that you're second guessing yourself or where you fit in the running community, then I would say yes, it would be really hard. And so I think when we talk about finding that community, is finding those supportive people in your life who are going to make you feel really good about what you are accomplishing, whether you're running 7 minutes, 8 minutes, 12 minutes, you're walking 15 minutes or 16 minutes, whatever it looks like. Because when you're constantly comparing yourself to that, and that's really hard. How your body looks, how fast you're running, what you're wearing, what brands are you wearing, all of those things. When it really comes down to it, is just you really enjoying being part of it, and doing it and accomplishing something really cool.
Yeah, community is huge in this game.
It is.
That Cleveland Running Show with Adam Gockowski will be right back after these messages.
Speaking of Rise and Rain, I worked with them for my last full marathon, and let me just say, best decision ever. They are definitely the number one reason I crossed that finish line. From the training program to the nutrition to everything. I could have not done it without them. So you know what? Go follow them on Instagram. See what they're all about. And I'm telling you, for your next race, you're not going to be sorry. Best decision ever. All right, now back to the show.
We're back on That Cleveland Running Show with Adam Gockowski.
What keeps you happy in the sport?
I think part of it is the sense of accomplishment. Part of it is the community that comes with it. Part of it, it's really fun too. Like, my kids get to see me do some really cool things with running. That part is really fun. But ultimately, I just really enjoy it. I enjoy that time to myself. I enjoy sending my kids on the bus, before I have to start work, and being able to go out for even a couple miles and come home and just set my day up that way. But I think and this is for anything in general with working out, is to find what you truly love to do, because you're going to stick to doing that. And hopefully, I hope it's running for everybody, but that may not be the case. And, if not, maybe it is something else. And if you can find joy in it, then you're going to continue to do it. And you're going to have those benefits for long past the certain day that it's occurring.
What was the biggest surprise from day one of your running journey to literally this exact moment?
I think surprise wise is that I've consistently stayed with it this long. I've done a lot of things in my life. I've accomplished a lot of different things. Losing weight and staying physically fit or physically active was never something I felt like I was like had a good handle on or was good at. And I have now done that for, 5 to 7 years between both. And just consistently doing that, but also finding the fact that I really like it. And that's made it a little bit easier. There's been a lot of things that change. What I wear when I run has changed. My headphones have changed. I started out with, like these like old Adidas tennis shoes and headphones that had a cord on them. And, just all of those types of things have obviously changed and evolved. But I think my confidence in being a runner too, I think when you start out, you don't feel like you belong. You don't know where you belong. You're not fast enough. You don't look like a runner, just all those things that you like second guess yourself, to then be to the point where you're like, I belong here. Like this is my space and I do fit in here.
So imposter syndrome is very common for many when they get into the sport.
Huge. And I think it continue, even if you're not even new in it. I think it is.
What are some of your doubts currently?
I don't know that I'd say like doubts for myself currently, but I find that training's a lot harder for me currently. My kids are extremely busy in their own sports, and I'm also at a spot in my life with them where I don't want to miss their stuff for my own goals right now. I have my whole life for those types of goals. I'm always going to get older. That's going to happen.
That's a lie. We're going to be 29 forever. We're just 29 right. Many times.
I do tell the kids that I'm 37 forever. But I don't want to miss their stuff. I don't want to miss their games and their things and all of that because I have my own personal goals. So I think that's hard is like, do I want to make headway in my own goals, get faster? I don't want to go further. The 50K was the furthest I'm ever doing. That's what I'm saying right now.
Only doing a 50K. Let's just remember what you just said.
No, I already did.
Only doing a 50K.
I don't want to ever do it again. Do I want to get faster in these race distances? Yes. Is that aligning with where my life is currently right now? Maybe not. And that's okay. And I think that's where some of it comes into play. Like show up on race day and you have these goals, it might not happen. And then what's next? And so looking at that. So I would say maybe that, not necessarily a self-doubt, just where priorities are for me with running, because I'm going to keep running. It's just a matter of, am I going to be training for a specific goal that I really want to put all this effort into right now in this very moment?
From the time of this recording, it's only been a few days since the Cleveland Marathon, the 2026 Cleveland Marathon. We had a wonderful weekend, beautiful sun, a lot of fun. But Jen, I know being in Ashland, you don't get that environment all the time of being able to run downtown and seeing all the great landmarks. What was it like coming back to the city of Cleveland and getting some miles in? In your case, 13.1 miles. Go ahead. The floor is yours.
It's like the second I get up to Cleveland on Friday of marathon weekend and I'm going up to work the expo, and I always try to work the opening shift at the expo because everyone's so excited coming in. It's so fun when the doors open, but I get up there early for a few different reasons. One, so I can park, walk to the expo. But two, so I can just walk around. I just want to be up there. I want to see things. I, walk up to the top of the mall and it's looking over the Brown Stadium and the lake. And I just take a minute to be there and just be really excited about what's to come for the weekend because I know it's going to be awesome. So that's the first thing that I do. But then I also, there's something about just the electricity in the city of marathon weekend. And obviously on Fridays, there's always the police, the National Police Parade that's going on in Cleveland. And so that was really fun to just be able to be up there and watch part of that. But the city's kind of just coming alive when we've got the marathon going on and you get down there to the expo and it's going to be the first thing people see. And you walk in and they've got the arches and everybody's, getting ready for the doors to open. But race weekend, I ran the 5K on Saturday with my son Nolan, and it's always fun for me to be able to run with the kids if they're going to do it. So sometimes Delilah walks, sometimes my husband will run or walk or whatever. The 5K on Saturday is always involved in some way. But I think that's fun to see it in his eyes, and see the city and the excitement in his eyes, because each year it's different for him, and how he races it is a little bit different. And so that was really fun for me. But then also just the engagement of everybody else that's kind of
Yep.
downtown, and involved. And then the shakeout run was a blast, and being part of that and seeing where Rise and Rain has hosted the shakeout run for the second year, and the turnout for that, even with some inclement weather coming in this year
Yeah.
during Saturday. But the kids run is also really cool. Like, we see these little kids come out who, will running stay part of their lives forever? We don't know, but we hope so. It's really cool that they get to experience it and be part of it. And a lot of them,
And
their
it's an
parents,
early memory of theirs.
yeah, and their parents are now, probably planning to run the next day. It would be my assumption. And I think the really cool part of that is, are we going to see these kids 20 years from now racing in the marathon, and them having those pictures, which would be really cool. And I mean, for my kids, like, if Nolan continues, that's what we're going to see. There's just so many cool things. Like, you run the bridges, and I know you guys in Cleveland, you get to run the bridges all the time, but it's such a highlight of the course, especially because it's coming in on the half, at least at, mile 11. And you're like, oh geez, I'm almost done, especially when it's 90 degrees outside.
And on the corner of Carnegie and Ontario.
Yeah, you make that
Yeah.
corner and you're just like, you just love it. You see it. I don't know the words to describe it, other than it just really feeling alive. And you see all these people and everybody's out cheering. The amount of people on the course cheering this year was remarkable.
It was a great crowd support.
Yeah. And there's nothing like it.
What is the one thing you're most jealous of that you don't get in Ashland when you come up to Cleveland?
Things to see, the sidewalks, more people.
We take sidewalks for granted, for sure.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm like jumping in ditches over here. But I think too, it's like, when you make, for instance, on the half with the 5 mile, and you're running right by the Brown Stadium, and you're seeing that, and people are all out there. Obviously on a day-to-day run, you're not doing that in Cleveland. It's not like it is on marathon weekend.
Yeah,
And,
we're not running in the middle of the street.
yeah, it's not like that. But just being able to see, you could pick different areas to run where you're going to see a lot of really cool things, and have the community there with you to do that. That I definitely just don't have here. Maybe someday my run group will take off here. However, it's not yet happened, but a girl can dream.
A girl definitely can dream. And don't forget, the Friday of marathon weekend, the Guardians were home and the Cavs had a playoff game. So it was very, very much alive.
It was actually, when I was leaving Cleveland that day, because a lot of times I stay in Cleveland for the weekend, but because of the kids doing other things, I was traveling back and forth each day. And
talking about a marathon of its own.
Yeah. I don't know that I'll make that mistake again. I think I'll be staying. But yeah, I was leaving, and just everybody walking and parking. It wasn't even just people, going to Expo. It was busy. Lots of people in Cavs gear, lots of people in Guardians gear, and just everyone everywhere.
Now, for your half, how did it go?
It was tough. It was tough. Here's the thing with that. I trained really hard leading up to this race, and I did have a time goal in mind. I did not hit that, but I went out trying. And I guess for me, I'd rather go out trying, knowing I had some adverse things to deal with, maybe going into it anyways, and just try. And if, we know we're not going to make it, we're not going to make it. And so I always try to push through that, though, because I do know mentally I'll shut down during a race when I realize I'm not going to hit my goal, and I'm kind of like, nah, whatever. But I try to push through that at least as long as I can. And I would say, by the time I was already at Scranton, I knew it wasn't going to be my day. And so at that point, I was kind of like, oh, geez, this is like, I'm walking up this hill. But
did anything interesting happen on Scranton? On race day.
It did. So I'm going along. Now, okay, before I get to that part, I met a lady from Florida around mile 4. And she was struggling. She went out too fast. She was really struggling. And I said, hey, what's your goal? And I'm kind of jogging by her. I have my cup from the aid station. And she said, I was trying to do under 2. And I said, well, why don't you run with me for a little bit? You can run my pace. We finally get to the Brown Stadium, and we had just decided at that point we were running the rest of the race together. And we did. We ran the entire rest of the race together, and it was really fun. We had great conversations. We had a blast. However, we are coming down off the graded bridge. I don't know what bridge that's called, but it's the one with the grate. We're coming down. We passed the Good Work gang, which had an awesome support station.
Straight up dance party there.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You could hear them. You could almost hear them a mile away. And I'm going, and I see ahead of me this white hat with a Jim Tomei jersey on. And he turns around and he waves and he says, just ride it out or just roll with it or whatever. And screams just as loud. And it happens to be Adam.
Dun, dun, dun.
It was so funny. And like, obviously you didn't know I was behind you and heard that. But yeah. So that was really fun to see you up ahead of me, and you kind of tell everybody around you, like, look, this is, and not your words, this is going to suck. Let's just get to the top. So,
well, here's an exclusive. I did see you, and that's when I turned around. So I did know that was you.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. So that's why I turned around saying, just ride it out. And I was trying to make it look like trying to gear up your motorcycle or rev up your motorcycle.
We were not riding the motorcycle up there. I wish I had a motorcycle for Scranton.
Well, and that's the thing, like, because I've done Scranton so many times, and I jokingly say Scranton is Satan's sister. That's what I call it. And when I saw that hill, and I've practiced that hill so many times, and knowing that you aren't too familiar with Scranton, that's when I turn around and just try to indicate, just rev it up.
Yeah.
Just ride it out.
The funniest part about Scranton is like you start going up this little hill. Like it's enough of a hill to be like, I'm going up a hill. And then you get past that overhead bridge and it's like, oh, straight up the hill. And like you don't see it coming, you know? And I feel like I'm almost have like Scranton Hill amnesia because I ran that in the marathon twice. It doesn't matter how many times you still get to it. And you're like, oh my gosh.
To me, it's like Millennium Force. You go up that hill, there's a little bit of a stoppage, and then there's the next part of the hill, and then it's a complete drop.
Yeah.
I always compare it to Millennium Force at Cedar Point, and that's what mentally helps me out.
Yeah, that does help. And I think too, one of my favorite parts of the course in general is where the split is going up to Tremont, where you've got people on both sides of the road. Yeah. And so I always know when I get to Tremont, like up to the top of Scranton, I'm going to be at one of my favorite parts of the course. So that definitely helps too. A lot of times I see a lot of my friends now who are faster than me coming back, you know, so I can cheer for them while I'm going out to Tremont, but then vice versa. I've got other friends I'm going down and they're coming up. So that was really fun too.
Was there any emotional moments this weekend?
I mean, emotional moments for me, I don't know that I would say it was emotional, but I had a lot of fun helping the athlete that was out there running and kind of just linking up with her by chance and being able to talk to her and run with her. And I think that's really cool part of running is, you know, I knew I wasn't hitting my goal. It was going to be the day to hit it. So I might as well have helped her finish that day and be part of that with her. It was fun. I mean, we were both kind of struggling. We were not, and I think many of us probably share the same sentiment. Coming off of training in Northeast Ohio weather, we were not necessarily prepared for the heat of Sunday.
I've said this a million times on our old show. I've said it a million times already in the pre-production of this show. I've said it many, many times on social media. In Cleveland, Ohio, or Northeast Ohio, unless your name is God or Goddard, as in the late, great Dick Goddard, Fox 8's classic Cleveland weatherman, you don't know what the weather is going to be like on race day.
You don't.
You never know.
Nope. And, you know, and I think that's part of, you know, why it was like, I'm going in it with a goal, of course, but, you know, if we don't get it, we don't get it. I'm still super happy to finish and be there and see my friends and just be part. I think there's something to be said and something really beautiful about just being part of race weekend.
Don't go anywhere. That Cleveland Running Show with Adam Gockowski will return after these messages.
Cleveland, this is my voiceover guy, Kyle. And if you're looking to advertise on this show, Kyle, what should they do?
Pay the man.
If you're looking to advertise on this show, send me an Instagram direct message. You know what, Kyle? Back to the show.
And now, back to the program.
So to wrap up today's episode of That Cleveland Running Show with Adam Gockowski, Jen, what is in your future as a runner and as a person, as literally you?
Well, I mean, in the near future, I've got a couple 5Ks, some shorter distances. I'm looking forward to racing those and improving some speed in the shorter distances. I still am looking at fall and what the fall will look like for me, knowing it would include some pretty intense training through the summer, which I do enjoy. But I think I'll be running the Columbus full, and we'll hopefully be running for a PR there. Other than that, June is super busy with my kids and summer baseball and softball, so I'm really excited for that. I'll be living at the ball field through, most of the summer. And I'm really also, when it comes to running in general, maybe looking at next year and what that looks like, the 50th year for the Cleveland Marathon. I'm excited for that, being there and being part of it again. But I think the biggest thing is just continuing to run and enjoy running, and finding that balance between these hard training efforts and then running for joy, and then transitioning back into more hard training, and having those breaks in there to kind of just reset and enjoy it, I think is really important. So right now, that's where I'm at. Not necessarily ready to jump into some fall training and then just continue building.
Well, Jen, I just want to let you know I love you. I love your family. And I can't thank you enough for our friendship and your encouragement and your support and everything. And I know everybody can say the same.
Well, thank you, Adam. And feelings completely mutual, especially from the kids. The kids love Adam.
Uncle Adam's always going to be around. Well, Uncle Adam is also penciling off a date in July because somebody will be turning 29 for the 11th time and be going up an age bracket.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm really excited. I know people, talk about turning 40, and 30s have been great for me. I've experienced some really awesome thing in 30s, and I'm excited. I'm excited to be 40. I'm excited to move up in another bracket. So we'll see how that works out for me. Maybe we'll take some placements in some races here.
Well, I'm excited for this, and you're going to do awesome in your 40s. And thank you so much for coming on today's show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you for watching That Cleveland Running Show with Adam Gockowski. Until next time, keep running, Cleveland.